Watches have been an essential part of the fashion world for centuries. With the advent of smartwatches, they are no longer just a fashion statement, but also a great tool for day-to-day activities. In this video, we will take a look at the top 3 best watches on the market: Apple Watch 8, Galaxy Watch Pro 5, and Fitbit Sense 2, and discuss their design, features, and suitability for daily use. Latest version of Apple Watch is that Apple Watch 8 series. With the Apple Watch 8, or the Series 8, the design once again stays the same. Taking the slightly larger screen and tougher material choices introduced with the Series 7, the only real visible difference is a rejigged color lineup. I've typically been a huge fan of the look of the Apple Watch. It has become an iconic product for Apple and is instantly recognizable. The Series 8 remains a looker, however, after spending a lot of time wearing the Apple Watch Ultra. I do wish Apple had adapted the design of its more consumer-friendly wearable to more closely match the Ultra. But none of the changes Apple introduced with the Ultra have filtered down to the Series 8, leaving this as a wearable that could do with some freshening up. Still, it remains comfortable to wear, even with the fairly large HRM sticking out of the underside, and it ticks most of the boxes I look for in a smartwatch at this price. Thanks to both IP6X and a 5 ATM water resistance rating, meaning it can withstand dust and be used for swimming or worn in the shower with no issue. The rounded glass covering the screen is tough too, and I've never cracked an Apple Watch, which is always a good sign it will stand up to daily use. Image credit. Trusted reviews. It is important to note this is retroactive tracking, so it's not going to be able to tell you future ovulation dates. Apple is also clear to make sure that this cycle tracking data stays on your device and is encrypted with either Touch ID or Face ID. If you're not interested in this cycle tracking, the sensor will also give you an overview of your body temperature each night, showing you how it deviates from a calculated baseline. I can't say I have found this data overly interesting, and the watch doesn't tell you how to decipher it, but it's there, and I can only assume it will become more apparent with software updates in the future. It feels like the blood oxygen sensor Apple introduced a few years ago, which simply gave you a percentage readout without little else. Apple is giving you access to these sensors, but not turning them into medical tools. The Apple Watch Series 8 features a new chipset, the S8, which is a little more efficient than before. That said, battery life is very similar to the outgoing models. Heavy users will be charging the watch every day, while those happy to sacrifice some features, notably the always-on display, can stretch that out to 2 days. And all of this things costs EUR $29.99 on Amazon and many other platforms. The standard Galaxy Watch 5 offers more variety, featuring a 40mm or 44mm aluminum case in graphite, black, or silver. The 40mm Watch 5 is also available in pink gold, while the 44mm model also comes in sapphire, blue. Pricing for the standard Watch 5 starts at $279.99 for the 40mm Bluetooth Wi-Fi model, or $329.99 for LTE connectivity. The Pro model features the same exceptionally bright and beautiful 1.4-inch 450 by 450 pixel AMOLED display as the 44mm Watch 5. For added durability, the Pro's titanium case extends higher than the display. A 0.1-inch concave black bezel sits between the sapphire crystal glass and the case, so if the watch falls flat on its face, it will land on that titanium ridge and not the glass. The Pro's glass itself is more durable and less susceptible to scratching compared with last year's model and the standard Watch 5. Samsung says it's 2 times stronger than the outer display layer of the Watch 4 series. Samsung claims that the Watch 5 Pro measures 1.8 by 1.8 by 0.4 inches, HWD, but the official depth-thickness measurement is misleadingly truncated, and my calipers prove it. Samsung lists the Watch 5 Pro's thickness at 10.5 mm, 0.4 inches, but according to my calipers it's actually 1439 mm, 0.6 inches. The same is true for the standard Watch 5, which is actually 1301 mm, 0.5 inches, rather than the stated 9.8 mm, almost 0.4 inches. The Galaxy Watch 5 Pro is a hair thinner than the Apple Watch Ultra, which measures 14.40 mm, 0.6 inches, according to my calipers. However, the Apple Watch Ultra feels a lot bulkier due to its 49mm rectangular case and massive 1.9-inch screen. Returning fans of Samsung's smartwatches might be bummed that both the Watch 5 and Watch 5 Pro lack a physical rotating bezel for quick scrolling, a feature available on many older Samsung smartwatches, including last year's Watch 4 Classic. Both Watch 5 models feature a touch bezel that lets you scroll by simply running your finger along the outer edge of the display. I didn't think I would miss the rotating bezel, but after handling the Pro, I do. Unfortunately, the touch bezel on my Pro unit doesn't scroll as smoothly as its counterpart on the standard Watch 5. Occasionally, I'll run my finger along the edge of the Pro's display and nothing happens. I'm not positive, but the problem might have something to do with the concave display border on the Pro. In comparison, the touch bezel on the standard Watch 5 always responds immediately. Fitbit Sense 2. Design, hardware, and what's in the box. The Fitbit Sense 2 looks just about like the last Fitbit Sense. It's a squircle shape with an OLED display in the middle, flanked by chunky bezels. There are a couple of notable differences, though. For one, the solid-state button on the original Sense and Versa 3 is gone, replaced by a regular button. I didn't mind the pressure-sensitive version the last generation used, but a normal button is definitely simpler to interact with. There are also new sensors on the watch's face for taking ECG measurements. The sensors are gray and don't draw much attention against the screen's black bezel. I actually kind of like how nicely the metallic strips frame the screen. Fitbit Sense 2. Software, performance, and battery life. Despite being Google products, Fitbit's watches still don't run Wear OS. But on the surface, Fitbit's proprietary software is pretty similar. Notifications live below the watch's home screen, accessed with a swipe up. Quick settings are a swipe down, and like on the Pixel Watch, there are customizable tiles to the left and right. You can choose which tiles you want to display, and in what order from the Fitbit app on your phone. No Google Play Store here, which means you can't install apps that you might be used to installing from Android-powered wearables. Not having a Play Store is not unusual for a fitness tracker, but oddly, there's no support for Google Assistant on the Sense 2, even though the support was available on the first-gen Fitbit Sense and the Fitbit Versa 3. Amazon's Alexa is pre-installed instead of Google Assistant. I typically don't want to talk to my watch, so that's just as well for me. But it's hard not to see this lack of support as another downgrade from the previous generation. For a person that has long preferred smartwatches to fitness trackers, the Fitbit Sense 2 is a great device to bridge that gap. It definitely leans more fitness tracker than a smartwatch, but the Sense 2 offers enough features that it can provide a similar experience and some improvements over other smartwatches. Things like deeper health and fitness insights thanks to not only more sensors, but the long history Fitbit has in the wearable space. You also get longer battery life than many other smartwatches. But if you are a power smartwatch user, then you'll likely be feeling like you're missing out on some features. The list of apps you can download to the Sense 2 is very short, and some that are available don't work equally with iOS and Android. Even the seemingly basic ability to respond to a message is missing for iOS users. The same goes for watch faces. While there are quite a few available, there aren't nearly as many as Wear OS users have access to.